share my screen. Right. Fantastic. So today we're going to look at metadata and why it is important. We're also going to have an introduction to Crossref and participation reports. And as well, we're going to look at how to fill in the gaps, how to update your metadata using OJS. And if you have any questions, then you are welcome to ask using the Q&A function so that we can find them and then answer them live, or my colleague Martin is going to help as well in the chat. So right now, just introduce myself. My name is Johansen Ubanda. I'm Community Engagement Manager at Crossref, working more closely with the Crossref ambassadors who are spread across the world, and I'm part of our community team. And we have Martin also joining us today. So Martin.
Yeah, morning everyone, or good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, I'm Martin. I'm a program lead. I'm looking after the program that we have running in Crossref called Contributing to the Research Nexus, and I'll be looking after the Q&A and chat today. So if you have questions, then put them in the Q&A and we can answer them there. That's the best way for us to track kind of any questions that you have. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for all the introductions that are coming in. Continue to share your name, your organization, and where you are joining us today. Yeah, so I'm just going to share a little bit about how we're going to be using Zoom today. We don't have the video function as it is a webinar, but we have the chat function, which is for general comments and introduction. But what will be most important for us to use today is a Q&A. If you have any questions that you would like for myself or Martin to answer during this session, yeah, and then we'll do that. So if you also like to enable captions, you can click on Show Captions button along the bottom of this page if you'd like to use that function. Great. So I would like to remind you of code of conduct. Yeah, I would encourage you to keep the session safe, respectful, and productive. So please follow our code of conduct at crossref.org/code of conduct. This session is being recorded, and we'll share the recording after the meeting along with the slides, and as well as certificates of attendance are available to anyone who needs. So I'm just going to dive right into what is metadata and why it is important. And many of you here are already Crossref members and submitting substantial metadata to Crossref. Well, this slide shows different types of metadata, including the basic or the required or minimum metadata and the supplementary metadata as well. Metadata is essentially data about data, and we're probably familiar with the bibliographic metadata, like the article's title, date, and authors, but there can be many other additional metadata associated with an item that can be exchanged and read by scholarly systems. So metadata has been described as a love letter to the future. So it helps future scholars and systems, as well as today's scholars and systems, to understand as much as possible about a work, where it came from, who was responsible for it, and what can be done with that piece of work. So as a Crossref member, you want to share this metadata, this information about your published content with the global scholarly community. When you join Crossref as a member, you're given a DOI prefix, and you use that prefix to create a unique digital object identifier, or a DOI, for each published work. And you also add as much metadata as possible for that piece of work, or attached to that digital object identifier. And the metadata that you share, you make sure that it is consistent, it is machine readable, or it is in a machine readable format, so that it can integrate easily with the rest of the global scholarly record. And this is why metadata is important. Our REST API is relied on by a large part of the research information community and beyond, and we receive nearly 2 billion requests each month through our APIs. And this diagram shows some of the types of tools and organizations that our metadata, this is the outside ring, and the different ways that the metadata is used, the inside rings. Our metadata is used by metrics and analytics tools such as Web of Science and Scopus. It's used by library discovery systems to find content that the researchers have access to. It's also used by members themselves to highlight gaps in their metadata or to check reference links. Organizations such as DOAJ make use of our metadata in their journal review process. So most tools that you use in scholarly communication use Crossref metadata. So registering DOIs and metadata records means that your content will appear in these downstream systems and will make your content more discoverable to global scholars. And the more metadata elements that you provide, the more likely you are to appear in one of the downstream systems. But if you provide us with inaccurate metadata, those problems will soon be propagated to lots of downstream systems. So I'm gonna go to the participation reports. You may have experienced it before, but if you haven't, or if this is the first time you getting to hear about the participation reports, I welcome you to open a tab on your browser and go to crossref.org/members/rep. This is where you will locate the Crossref Participation Report. And through this session, we're going to look at each of participation reports. So it might be good as well to look at yours. You need to remember your organization's name for this. This tool or the participation reports is a visualization of our members' metadata. Basically, how much metadata you are actually registering in the Crossref, how complete your records are. So the participation reports tool is like a medical checkup of your metadata. And the richer your metadata is, which means that the more metadata elements you include, the more chance that your content has appeared in one of our downstream tools, and therefore rich metadata increases the discoverability of your content. You can use participation reports to see for yourself where the gaps in your organization's metadata are. And perhaps you can as well compare your performance to others, because these reports are free and open to everyone. So I'm going to walk you through the interface. We have some new features right now. We have dark mode as well. You can enable if you'd like to. It is an upgrade on an updated version of the participation report. And then when you first see participation reports, it will look like this. If you're there in your browser, you just need to stop typing the name of your Crossref member organization, and you will see that it starts to appear on a drop down like this. Then you can click to select your organizations. You need to remember the name that you register with Crossref or when you applied Crossref membership. If you can't find your organization's name here, I'm gonna, you need to, on the previous slide, so you need to just start typing, then you will see a number of organizations coming in, and then you need to select the appropriate one. But you can also type and find the participation reports of a different organization if you'd like to check how a different organization is doing. So you will notice a couple other things. If you've used the old participation reports, you will notice like this new one has a new feature, like the ability to download a gap report, as well as more buttons to select the content type that you want to look at over here. When you select the desired organization, you will see the main page of the report and information about the organization. For example, this is the Office of Academic Resources, Chulalongkorn University. And there's a lot of information on the dissertation, so we can look at each item individually. At the top, you can see the name of the organization and also the total number of DOIs that have been registered with us. And you can also see for each of these items, what percentage of the DOI records contain these key metadata elements such as references, ORCID IDs, and etc. So, for example, references is about 2% of those. Abstracts have like about 94% of the records of abstract registered for those. So these are the metadata elements that we consider important to make the content more useful and discoverable. And these include references, ROR and ORCID identifiers, funding information, URLs for licenses and similarity check service, as well as abstract crossmark, and if an organization uses this service, and affiliation metadata. For example, we support institutional identifiers like ROR, Wikidata, and ISNI. So each one has a percentage displayed next to it. So when the percentage, the percentage included, for example, for here the references as 2% of all their metadata records that have registered metadata records, including references, just like I shared before. And then see like none of the records are registered include an ROR ID at this point here. So 98% or 94% here include abstracts. So we're going to now have a look at this drop down here. If you toggle it, then you can get all-time current records and back records. So you can look at it to get metadata, to get the percentage of the percentage distribution of metadata across the different metadata elements for current records or for back records. So current records include any records published or issued in the current calendar year or up to 2 years previously. For example, in 2026, current records are those with the publication date in 2026, 2025, or 2024. Anything published or issued in 2023 or earlier is considered as a back record. You can also toggle between different content types over here. If you publish more than one content type, you can see from here, each have different types of metadata. If your organization registers DOIs for more than one journal, you can also use this box in the middle to find the results of just one of your journals, which might be of interest to some of you present today. In that case, the report will show the percentage of metadata for just that title, rather than the total content of that member. This is important as there may be different editors depositing for each journal, and they may not all collect and include the same metadata in the deposit. So you will, if you know, or if you start typing, you will see like the different journals that of these member that are present, and then you can select one, and then you can the metadata percentages will be recalibrated, and you can see the performance of different metadata elements. Once you toggle and filter all these sections, you'll be able to see the results of the 11 metadata elements. Each item has more information button, which is like a small I. And then when you click it, it will display an explanation of each indicator with links to more information, also including why the metadata is important and how it can be improved. And just in case you are doing this some other time or cannot remember what each of these things mean, and you can hover over this I button and click the different sections to read more about why that metric is important, where to learn more, links to documentation, and how to improve that score. Let us now take a look at each of these metadata elements individually. We choose them because they are important elements to include that can help either increase the discoverability of your content or maybe provide useful trust signals to the community that publishing is a trustworthy way. Great. So you'll start, you can, I'm going to go to the gap report and how you might use it or how you can go about it. Because you're definitely going to be, the URL is going to end up to the new participation reports. You will be able to see and download the gap report for your content for whatever metadata element that you choose. So you can select multiple metadata elements to get gap reports for for the DOIs associated that don't have some of these metadata elements included. So this will show up as so when you click the gap report, it will show up this way as a model window, which allows you to choose which metadata fields you're interested in. So we might choose, for example, kid IDs, and then we have convenience selectors if you just want everything or nothing. But in this case, let's focus in on ORCID IDs and ROR IDs. So again, you can choose which type of record you're interested in. So we'll stick with journal articles here. And again, you can choose the time period. So we would default this to all time because it is it seems like most likely people would want to receive information about records registered at any period, but you can filter how you wish to. So you can select a record type, you can select whatever period that you want, all-time content, all-time current or current content or back content. You can also choose select all or deselect all. You maybe just choose focus on whatever it is that you want to, and then you can download the gap report. So that just to show you what that would look like after you downloaded it. This is what the report would look like when imported into Google Sheets. Very simple format listing the DOI, the date that the record was created, and the field that is missing. So this is a DOI, and then this is the date that this record was created, and then this is the missing field. So if you're looking at references in this participation report, so we can see you can get up to 5,000 records in this report download, and if you require more records than that, we can provide that, but you would need to request that directly from our support team. But hopefully 5,000 is a good number to start with and to start making improvements to your metadata. So with this gap report, after seeing which of your metadata or which of the DOIs lack whatever kind of metadata, these are now like references here, for example, you would want to use your content registration tool, whatever means that you use to improve this metadata by adding to increase the scope, this metadata category by adding these missing fields or these missing metadata elements and then depositing to Crossref or submitting to Crossref. So we're going to move now to each of you looking at your own participation reports. So if you could, please open a browser and go to the URL crossref.org/members/prep. Yeah, and when you're there, you can type in your Crossref member name. If you aren't sure what that name is, do put a Q&A question in the Q&A, and we can help you look that up if you maybe know your DOI prefix. There isn't anything in the Q&A yet at the moment, or there is. Is there? Okay.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. It's easier for us to track if you use the Q&A box. We can keep note of questions in the chat, but if you could add them in the Q&A box as well, that's helpful. There was one question about why I can't find journals on PrEP sponsored by ABEC Brazil, which are from Raphael. I'm just wondering, Raphael, were you using the journal name to search, or were you using your member name to search? That may be the difference.
Yeah, and as well, understanding maybe if the actual member name of the actual member name will be helpful, and making sure maybe it isn't maybe an ABEC journal, for example, then that we would have to look for in the in this section here. In this section here, if you're searching by title, if ABEC has that as a general title rather than as a member, then you would search it here. But then if you're actually looking for a member organization, then you would look at it by the actual member name. Right.
Yeah. I think the sponsor name, you can't search by sponsor name in this as well. So there's the sponsor level, and then there's a member level, and it's that member name that you need to locate to find the participation reports.
Great. So we're going to take a few moments for you all to take a look at your participation reports, and then I'll explain more about how you can fill the gaps, but this time using the OJS tool. Yeah. Yeah, I think Lean and Go, we're gonna take a look at that for the OJS tool, how to add missing elements to different parts of the OJS. Yeah. All right. So I think everyone is if you had a look at if you found your participation reports, can you just say yes in the chat? If you didn't, say no. So let's see all the yeses trickling in. Okay, great. Fantastic. Everyone. Okay, great. I think you can see how you're doing in terms of like the different metadata elements. And if you have a question, perhaps if you tried to close the gaps, but you haven't been successful, hopefully the next few slides help you to do that. But if you still can't figure it out, then there's going to be helpful resources shared in the chat by Martin to help you to get some resources to navigate some problems that you might be having. Yeah, so a very good number of people are getting their participation reports. Yeah, and they're having a look at it. And you might see that you're doing quite well or not, but you can also look at your peer organizations, how they're doing compared to you. But it also depends as well with some record types especially those from very many years ago, might be lacking a lot of ORCID IDs, for example. But the most important thing is as we go forward to continue enriching your metadata as much as possible, because we already saw the importance of doing that. Great. So I'm going to go to how to fill in the gaps. Updating existing UI records. So you need to register a DOI record after as a member of Crossref, and then you get the initial charge to register a DOI record. But then to update the metadata, that is free, so you don't need to pay any additional fees to update your metadata. So you need to find the relevant record. You need to unpublish, update the missing metadata, then republish for OJS. And then you need to as well focus on references, abstracts, author and affiliations, and funding information for OJS. So I'm going to talk about how to improve your references metadata. References are key, and if you only improve your percentages for one element after this meeting, make sure it's references. So there are 3 steps to set up in OJS for references. You need to go to your settings, and then to your workflow, and then in the workflow settings, you need to go to metadata, then go to references, and then enable references metadata. This is also assuming that you already are using OJS to successfully register metadata to Crossref. So you configured and you're fully set up on OJS to do that. So if you've downloaded the Crossref PKP Crossref OJS plugin, and then you're already signed into your account, or like gone through authentication, and you already have existing metadata. You want to improve your references. You go to settings, workflow, then you're going to go to workflow settings, metadata, and then you're going to enable reference metadata as well. Then next is step 2 to enable the Crossref reference linking plugin. So here you're going to go to your settings section, the website, then you're going to go to the plugins. After that, you're going to go to the you're going to add your references into your OJS platform. When you go to your article and then publication, then you go to the references, then you're going to add your references here. So deposit your references. You can add all of your full text references, or even those including the Crossref DOIs as well over here. All of your references you add here, and then you click save, and then you're going to publish your article again. Next is these 3 elements: ORCID IDs, affiliations, and drawer IDs. So information about the authors and the institutions that they're affiliated with, and this is important. So this is ORCIDs for the authors, affiliations, and drawers for the organizations, so which are also can help to identify both the organization that the author is affiliated with, but also as well the organization that is funding the authors or the researchers' research. So there isn't a plugin needed for this. So you need to go to your document, you go to publication, then go to the contributors part. Then you're going to click edit under the author name to amend the ORCID information. Over here, this is when you click on edit, then you will get the previous slide here. You will edit your on this drop down. You're gonna edit Amanda Bettel's information. When you click on edit, because there wasn't an ORCID ID added to it, so you're going to come here and you're going to add the user details. So you're going to the ORCID field here. After the author provides the ORCID ID, then you're going to add it here. The next step is going to you can add the optional ORCID profile plugin. So you don't need this plugin just to add ORCID IDs into your author metadata. But if you want to go further, it gives you more functionality. It lets contributors authenticate their ORCID ID. It also displays authenticated ORCID IDs on the article as a link to the contributor's ORCID record. It also enables members to claim articles in their ORCID records. Yeah. So if you enable it, the ORCID profile plugin, then it will enable you to do all that. And then this is how how it will look like, or this is the result. So indicating these link or clickable links or under the ORCID tags, so that users can follow and then land onto their author's ORCID profiles, which is of good benefit to the authors. And then to add author affiliations, there's also no extra plugin needed. It will look at existing field for the lower versions of OJS 3 and OJS 3.4. It will have more user details. Yeah, and then this is going to help with affiliations. So you need to add affiliations where the institution from which the author belongs, and all the other authors as well. Yeah, and you might be doing this already, but you might see that your affiliations are 0%. So the problem, there has been a problem with OJS sending affiliations metadata to Crossref, and this will be fixed with OJS 3.5. And so we also encourage OJS users to upgrade to the latest versions if possible. But still you need to keep adding your affiliations metadata into your platform. And when you upgrade to 3.5, this will feed over to Crossref. So even if you're using the earlier versions of OJS, you have the option of adding the affiliations, keep on adding them. As you upgrade, this is sorted out and those will now be sent to Crossref. The next step is to optional role plugin, which you can as well add. So the role plugin, it collects and displays role IDs for author affiliations on article pages. So if you go to the different plugins, research organization registry, where you download the plugins and you enable it, then this is going to be the result. So when you are adding the affiliate, or when you start typing an organization, then you're going to get the different a list or a suggestion of different organizations, and then you're able to click on the right one, and then that one as well will help to correctly associate or create the relationship with the accurate organization that the author is affiliated with. And as well, this can be done for the different authors that are present there. So, for example, these Diego Chavarro seems to be coming from Public Knowledge Project (PKP). But then Juan Pablo is from Simon Fraser University that has ROR enabled for it, or has this organization picked up through ROR functionality on OJS. And so this is it's a useful plugin, but it's optional and you can use it if you'd like to, but then that as well helps to get ROR metadata associated with your articles. Funding metadata is the next one. So funder registry IDs and funding award numbers. So you need to install and enable the funding plugin. So when you go to your document or your article, go to publication, then you go to the funding data, you can add funder over here. So the plugin section will allow you to choose a funding, and then you click on it to add it so that you can be able to see these when you go to the publication or the article. So under the funding metadata, you need to include information for both the funder and individual grant. You add a funder name, then you add the grant numbers. These then helps to collect the funding award numbers and the funder registry IDs. Great. That is all how to improve the different parts of your the different metadata elements of your organization's article content. Yeah, and I hope that you can see the different from your participation report. I hope that you can see why you are maybe having lower percentages and you are willing or you're interested in improving for the benefit of your own records, for your own researchers as well. Yeah, and then you are able to see through the previous slides the area or the places to go to be able to add those kinds of metadata. I don't know if there is any other, if there is a question. There isn't a question in the Q&A. Oh, there are a few questions.
Yeah, we have a few questions.
Okay.
Do you want me to kind of run through them?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so that we have a few in the Q&A. So first is about OMP, which is like OJS for books. Is it possible to register raw IDs? It doesn't seem to work the same way as in OJS. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not very familiar with OMP, but it looks like it uses a different plugin. Amanda, do you have any more details about that?
No. Yeah, so there is a OMP, and then right now we're like just looking at the OJS or OMP other users as well. OJS provides that. You can use that, but I think maybe we can get back to you with more information about that.
So the other is about using BibTeX format to deposit references. I know BibTeX is used quite widely in maths and physics, for example. Is that a format that references can be deposited in? I think in the Crossref plugin, at least it's only a text format. Unfortunately, we can't accept BibTeX. There may be, I guess, a plugin for OJS to add BibTeX references, but that's not part of the Crossref plugin, unfortunately. Okay. And we have another one about RAWs. When adding RAWs, do I need to unpublish and republish each article? So I think that's not necessary. I think the metadata can just be updated in place. Amanda, do you have more information?
Yeah, for the latest version OJS 3.5, that is something that's being looked at. So you can just in place, you can edit the metadata, then you can save, and then it will be submitted to Crossref. The earlier versions is important to unpublish first, so that those fields can be editable before you can save and then publish again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then there's another question about DOIs are repeated in the references on the article website on OJS occasionally. Do we have some idea why? I guess that's probably something for PKP and OJS to answer. That's not that's kind of beyond that's not kind of within the Crossref sphere of control. So I think you would have to. I don't know if anyone else has had that issue. Maybe if someone has and they found they found a solution, you could put that in the chat. I'm afraid I don't have a solution for that. And then which plugins are necessary for starting Crossref registration? This is someone who's just starting out with OJS. Yeah, well, good luck with your OJS journey. I think we can add some links in the chat or in the comment to some of the plugins for OJS. We can do that in a moment. Yeah, so I'll add that in the answer in the Q&A section. And also some documentation as well. And all authors have obscure affiliations. In such a case, raw will never be available. Isn't that right? So is this a case where you are not permitted to share the author affiliations? I have to say I have not seen a case where that's happened. But yeah, it maybe that happens, in which case, yeah, you're not obliged to share the affiliations. Just be aware that anything that you put in the metadata that is sent to Crossref is publicly available. So we don't hide metadata in cases where things don't need to be available. So anything that you do put in OJS that gets passed on to Crossref, that will be publicly available for anyone who accesses our metadata. And So if you don't want to share it, don't add it. And then, yeah, so I would like to know a bit about DOIs for books, since I couldn't deposit using OMP as we do in OJS. Is there a guide or model that we can follow on? Yeah, we can find, I mean, we can find the documentation for OMP. I guess maybe Raphael, you've already looked at that. The other thing that we have launched recently is a UI for depositing books. I can find the link for that. Oh, and yeah, Pradeep Kumar has just added a follow-up from the last question. So no, the authors are from very small organizations, maybe where there isn't a raw ID available. Yeah, you can. So either you can just not add the raw ID, or you can actually ask raw to add the organization. That curation process does take some time, so maybe it's not available immediately. But then perhaps when that organization has been added to the raw registry, then you can add it into the metadata. Um, um, and then if we use OJS lower than 3.5, can we update the raw directly? Oban, do you know that? I'm not.
You would want to, most would let you unpublish, then republish. So for when you don't find the option of editing a record and then updating it just in line, then you want to first of all unpublish and then edit the record and then republish again or deposit again to Crossref. Yeah.
Wait, and then I think we have some questions in the chat. Can Crossref offer any paid editorial management system which makes it easier to register DOIs and track all the activities? That's not something that we do, Jabbar. We do support OJS, which is an open source system, but we don't offer a paid system. The other thing which I mentioned earlier in relation to books that I've just put a link to in the chat is our metadata manager. That's our own link. If you're doing things, if you have a low volume and you're maybe updating things one by one, that can be a great way to update the metadata. But we don't offer a paid editorial service. There's plenty that are out there, and we don't kind of support or recommend any individual service. But there's lots that are kind of effective for doing that. And can you please repeat where you automatically collect the author ORCIDs? Maybe Evander, you could go back to show the slide for that. That was a question in the chat.
Okay, great. That's over here. So you may enable ORCID profile plugin. But that is not necessarily what we look after. But then this plugin lets contributors authenticate their ORCID IDs. So it will be in the system. So maybe they can have that in their workflows. For example, if they're signing in or signing up or submitting their metadata, then they can authenticate that, and it will be associated with that with their ORCID IDs continually. So it might make it easier for you to collect the ORCID IDs from submission of the articles. But then if you don't have that still, you with the metadata that you're submitting in the sorry. Yeah, so in the contributors section, so you will still have the option of the ORCID ID here, and these will send the ORCID IDs to Crossref. So you might be manually collecting the ORCID IDs Because I saw some comment here, that some authors are not submitting, some authors do not complete their ORCID, so we need to complete it for them to update on the article. So in that case, for example, if you collect the ORCID IDs first, then you want to apply it for each or add it for each author. Yeah. But you can use the ORCID profile plugin for the future to enable you maybe to collect those and to just enable the users or your authors to claim articles in the ORCID records and all.
Yeah, we have a further interesting comment from Sebastian Schweiter saying we used to use the raw plugin, but it inserts only the affiliations names, while I prefer displaying also their cities and countries. Therefore, we've disabled the raw plugin, and these metadata not transferred to Crossref. Yeah, that would be correct. What's the best practice for displaying affiliations? Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Orban, did you have some comment on that?
Yeah, to get this correctly, they would like to add affiliations, but not raw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've disabled the raw plugin, which means that they wouldn't want the plugin to get the raw or to associate the affiliations, for example, with the raw registered names, for example. So over here, you have the so let me do this. If we go to participation report, if I look at Crossref Participation Report, it will be easier to look at it this way. My it is taking a bit of time to load, but I will share that you can when you register your affiliation, doesn't necessarily end up as a raw ID, but when you have a raw ID, or like when you register your raw IDs, would be as well your affiliation as well as funding or funding organizations. So because raw is used to identify both a funder and as well an organization that is that the research is affiliated with, or that the article is affiliated with. So if you're looking at these three data elements, for example, so when you add your affiliation, and that is over here, where is this? Yeah. So adding author affiliation, so you can add the author affiliation here, and that will just be the organization, for example, the author is affiliated with, that supports with these metadata category. Then if you have enabled the raw plugins, then it captures that, but also like enables it enables the affiliation or links affiliation to the raw ID or the raw ID of the organization. That as well will populate this. So if you populate this, then you're also actually populating these, or also populating this like funder ID, like, or maybe if there is this raw ID, raw ID also identifies the funder, for example, as well. So you might like, I've seen that you've disabled raw plugin, but you can enable or display affiliations by adding the affiliations of the authors individually here, even if you've not enabled your raw ID. I don't know if that answers your question, Sebastian.
Yeah, I guess I'm not aware of any kind of standard best practice around displaying affiliations, but yeah, that's yeah. Thanks
And
for
also,
the
when you say displaying affiliations, does it mean maybe like on your website or on the article itself? Like
yeah.
yeah.
I wonder whether we could take this back to the as feedback for the raw plugin, is to have maybe a custom you have the raw affiliation, but maybe you can also customize what's displayed alongside the article. That's something different. Yeah, yeah. We'd recommend an upgrade if you can manage it, but obviously that can come with some complications. We know all about upgrading software. Um, okay, there's a couple more questions that have come in. Yeah, interesting one from Michael about a journal which has moved from printed versions to online, and then the printed versions don't have ORCIDs for those articles, which has had an impact on the metadata, of course. So I guess the solution there is either that you can add the ORCID if you can find out the ORCIDs for those authors, which I guess is not very straightforward. You can add them. Um, Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to be possible to add that. And there are just cases where that happens. Hopefully, you're adding the ORCIDs now, and over time, the percentage of ORCIDs will improve. I think that's why we also have the option to look at the kind of back file that's more than 2 years old and the kind of newest and the newest versions. Also request to explain about authenticate via Crossref with an OJS integration. Oban, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think that's a work in progress. Yeah, so there isn't substantial information I can provide right now about that. Yeah, but when you if you want to deposit, you can use resource only deposit or supplementary deposit using a web deposit form, hoping that you know or even just an XML deposit of these particular metadata for your articles that you're registering on OJS. So a resource only deposit exists. I'm gonna drop a link on using resource only deposit or depositing using supplementary metadata using our web deposit form to get your similarity check URLs, full text URLs as well registered with Crossref. Yeah.
Thanks. Was that, yeah, I wasn't sure whether the question was about depositing those URLs or checking the articles, but yeah, that's yeah. I assumed it was the former, but you answered the other one. So yeah, it's yeah. If you want to come back, yeah, if you want to come back, so the question again from the other point of view, that's how we can do that. Okay. Shall we input our full article in title and abstract section to project HTML view of complete article in the website via source code giving HTML code? Will that impact any metadata fetch? Yes, if you put the full article HTML in the title or the abstract, that's probably going to be cut off in our systems. We have limits on how long a title and abstract can be, and it will affect the metadata. At Crossref, we don't collect the full text of articles, but we obviously do provide a link to the article, and you can also add that there's a specific part of the metadata where you can add a link to the full text for text and data mining, for example, which would be an ideal place to put an HTML version. I'll try and get a link in a moment to some more information about that, but I would not recommend putting the full text in the title or the abstract field. That's not kind of the correct way to do it, and it's not where people will be looking for it either. That people won't necessarily find this. So yes, 3.5 LTS. I don't have information about when that will be launched. So yes, OJS 3.5. Do you know when that's coming, Amanda?
Not very sure. There's going to be 3.5 long-term support, and then there's like maybe plans for 3.6 long-term support or stuff like that. So it is yeah, I'm not really sure when that is going to be happening.
I think I'm just going to check if there's some other questions in the chat. Could you provide the contact email address? Sure. Yeah, I can. I'll put my email address in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a look at the PKP website. The 3.5 long-term support will likely happen this quarter, like so maybe before the end of March, then there will be long-term support for 3.5. Yeah.
Perfect. Are there any other last-minute questions? I'm just going to have a look at look up that the last link that I said I would get. So yeah, about the data mining. Excellent.
There is a question on the Q&A about is there any place on submission or the most suitable place on submission to save the monitoring data? For example, paid publishing fee date, which does not show for website reader. I think this is more on the OJS side of things compared to like on submitting metadata to Crossref. What do you think, Martin?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sorry, I don't have any. I was busy looking up the full text links. So, yeah.
I'm just gonna as well show you the for this question. I just shared the link to PKP forum, which if you filter the forum based on different keywords, you will find that your question might have been answered already on the PKP forum. Yeah. So I hope we have all of your questions answered. Otherwise, you can reach out to us directly. Martin shared his email, and in case of any other thing as well, you're welcome to visit our organization's community forum. And this session will be this session has been recorded, and the recording and slides will be shared with you. And we hope to get in touch in the next meeting like this. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you very much for joining.